Oh my goodness, welcome back. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be located. When I tell you I got time on my hands, I got time on my hands. It's summertime. I'm the only person that is actually here right now. I'm sitting in my office. So I decided to want to go over these icky first questions and put those in quotation marks because they always put them in bold when it comes to seeing them in the practice exams or when it comes to the actual exam. So today, let's learn how to actually kind of look at these questions in a different way. Because I know there are some people that are just like, well, I don't get this. Like, how do I answer this question? Well, let's work through that together. The meaning of what it is, right? First, you got to find out what it means. And then we're going to do some few examples along the lines. So to me, this is my understanding to what first actually means when it comes to the vignette. It's the most important. It's like it's immediate. It's like what's necessary. It's what you need to be paying attention to when it comes to that question. You always, I cannot stress it enough. Pay attention to the safety, the report that you have to build, or an assessment that is going to be. If it's a safety question, you'll know immediately. They're talking about suicide, child abuse. Immediate, right? If it's like this first session with this client or this family, you're going to be building rapport, right? Joining with the client. Or they may ask, like, how can you assess this situation? Those are the initial first questions that you can sometimes have. You're always going to be looking for that safety or those legal/ethical concerns, right? It is always that safety is going to come first. Suicide, abuse, danger first. Those are the ones. If you see those in the vignette, they need to be the one that you pay attention to the most. Next, I see a lot of people get tripped up over this. If there is a theory that is given in that vignette, that theory must match what that question is asking you, right? That correct answer has to match that theory. Milan, solution focus, if they're saying like, what would a solution focused therapist do first? You have to make sure you know what a solution focused therapist would do in an early phase of therapy. You have to pay attention to that. Solution focus, narrative, strategic, you gotta pay attention to that. That's like how you would view like a first question, like overall, just like a synopsis of how you would view a first question. If you see these kinds of statements, new client, new family, you're going to be doing what first? Unless they're talking about like abuse or something, you're going to be building rapport or assessing for goals with this client. Conflict or a complaint that this family or this person is coming in with, you have to be able to clarify the goals. If there's something that's conflicting with the couple or whatever, and one person is saying one thing and the other person is saying another, you got to clarify it. You got to make sure you know what the expectations are going to be before you can even move forward, right? If there is a safety concern, you always are going to address safety first, and then you have to follow anything that is legally that you have to do, right? IPV, you get a family, mother and father that are fighting each other or whatever, and then maybe the kids are witnessing that. You gotta address it. You get a couple that comes in, the husband is hurting the wife or the wife is hurting the husband. You have to address it. You just cannot ignore it, and we will talk about that in the next slide about what you pay attention to and what you should actually be ignoring. So these are just some exam tips, and I kind of like learned these myself after going over so many different practice questions. I had to learn these myself, put some things in like some perspective. I kind of like wrote some things down of what I was noticing in one question and what I noticed in a different question. Safety and ethics are very important. You cannot ignore those, right? Suicide, child abuse, sexual abuse, elder abuse needs to be addressed immediately. Do not ignore it. We are mandated reporters. You gotta report it. Any question that says like anything about you suspect and it's following up with some elder abuse or child abuse or sexual abuse, you most likely have to report it. Child sexual abuse must be reported. Physical abuse with a child has to be reported, unless it has something to do with domestic between the mother and the father, the husband and a wife, etc. It has to be reported. That kid is being abused, report it. That kid is being sexually abused, you have to report it, right? Because the word initial means what comes first in order based on the clinical concept, right? So sometimes you may see like what you would do initially. Take a look at the entire scope of the picture, the vignette, and what they're talking about. What comes first in order? Put it in order. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? Okay. Do not in any vignette that you see that's talking about a husband and wife that are arguing with each other, and you see a response that says, take the side of the husband or the wife or something, unless it has something to do with the feminist theory, please don't take sides. Don't assume that you know what's going on with this relationship or with this family, and do not ignore red flags, right? We're not blaming the other. We're not blaming one person. We're not putting the blame on any individual, because we're systemic and we understand what, right? That it is a system, that one person is not the sole purpose or the reason as to why you are in therapy in the first place. You cannot ignore red flags. Ignoring red flags means that you're ignoring that this child is telling you that, hey, my stepdad is touching on me. You cannot do that. Avoid questions like that by any means necessary. Elimination tactic. This is where sometimes our second guessing starts to just creep on in, right? If you know for a fact that that answer is incorrect, eliminate it. Do not go back and make it seem like it's right. You will probably go wrong 9 times out of 10. You have to eliminate answers that are too far advanced for what the question is asking. If it's a first question, then that means that, like, well, maybe I'm just meeting this person for the first time. Don't be in there trying to be making them do no positioning techniques and all that type of stuff or whatever. You don't even know this client. You don't even know this family. Too far advanced, stay away from those. Early stage of therapy means that you're doing what? You're getting to know that client. You're building rapport. You're joining with that client. Middle stage, possibly interventions, right? Now we can talk about some of those, positioning techniques and some homework assignments possibly, right? And then the final stage, you're going to be doing what? Reviewing goals, see if their goals have been met. And then you're going to be collaborating with your client towards termination. Keep in mind, you do not make a decision to terminate with the client. That is a collaborative approach. Always keep that in mind, right? Here's the biggest thing that please pay attention to. You are always going to eliminate answers that ignores the red flags. Eliminate answers that ignores the abuse. Safety issues you have to eliminate. Eliminate answers that states confront. You just met this client. Why are you confronting this client? You don't know nothing about this client to be sitting there trying to challenge them for the first time that you just met them. Eliminate responses that has you as a therapist giving advice. We don't give advice. We are not mind readers. We don't get paid to give people advice. If that's the case, then we can have our own vlogs and work from there. Responses that are far too much into the theory that ignores what the client has said. Eliminate. A response that makes an assumption. You cannot assume that you know what is going on. You get a vignette that's talking to you about certain things that's going on with the family, and you see a response that says, interpret that they have childhood trauma. Don't do that. You don't know anything about this family, and trauma wasn't mentioned in that vignette, so do not do that. Elimination, elimination, elimination. Pay attention to the ones that stick out like a sore thumb. Scratch them out. Get rid of them. Do not go back to try to make them right. Do not. Now, let's do, like I did like these 2 little questions, and this is from ChatGPT, so don't laugh at me. But I mean, these questions are they're pretty good. I can work with them. I can work with this. So you got a married couple in your late 40s, they present for therapy. 25 years they've been married. Okay, good job. Congratulations. They report growing emotional distance with each other. Even though they've been married 25 years, now they got some distance, and they're working on, they got some issues with the communication. They got some frequent misunderstandings with each other. The wife is expressing that she feels unappreciated, and she also feels isolated. So we got a lot of stuff that's going on, right? The husband is saying that he misses the closeness that they once had, but he just doesn't know how to fix things that's going on with them, right? The husband also has some history of depression, but he's stable on medication. Now, the wife started therapy recently for anxiety, and they both want to improve their marriage. So then the question follow up, and it says, as the therapist, what should you do first? Now we got a first, but in the middle stage of therapy. I like this question. I really do like this question. ChatGPT, I got to give it to you. You did a good job with this question. What should you do first in the middle stage of therapy? So let's take a look at some of the responses, right? And then look at and kind of like look at how it is. And then I have it written up there where we're able to talk through it. So A says, assign them communication homework to practice active listening and sharing of feelings. Now, this response is quite vague, and it doesn't explain how to address some of the issues that are being presented, because a homework assignment, okay, well, what are you going to do with the homework assignment? How are you going to work on that they're stuck in whatever it is that they have going on, right? B says to explore each partner's childhood family dynamics. Again, pay attention. This is a first question, but it's asking you about what you would do in the middle phase of therapy. Exploring childhood family dynamics is something that you would do in an early phase of therapy. The vignette said middle stage. Pay attention to that. D says conduct a detailed genogram to identify multi-generational patterns. Again, genograms are done when? In an early stage of therapy. The vignette asks for middle stage. But when we take a look at C is very detailed, right? We're going to use restraining, some positioning strategies, right? Because they're stuck in a cycle. If you pay attention, they said that they got some frequent misunderstandings, minimal communication, and they don't know how to fix it. That tells me that they are stuck in this cycle. And then C is also, from what theory? Strategic therapy. After a while, you'll be able to get that, and you'll be able to see like, oh, I see that this is from this model, this is this theory that they're talking about. And it just becomes much easier for you to be able to identify it. I mean, and then take a look at some of the, how I did the breadcrumbs and stuff up there, the green at the top, and then I have to match it to what's going on at the bottom. Talk to yourself. Talk through these questions. You got this. Now, let's take a look at this one. So this was the one that I was like, okay, ChatGPT did another good job. I liked it. Then again, I had to look and look and look. I'm like, okay, well, the question does make sense, and I'll work my way through it and try my best to get you all to understand it. So we got a 15-year-old, right? She's being brought to therapy. She's caught using drugs. She's skipping school. She's withdrawn. The mom is mad and upset, obviously saying that she's out of control because the mom doesn't know what's going on. But in the second session, this 15-year-old is telling this therapist that her stepfather is touching on her, right? Touching her in ways that feels weird. But this girl is begging this therapist, please don't tell my mom, fearing that she'll get in trouble. And I get that that's a lot that we can hear from a client when they're telling us, please don't tell anybody. But we are what? Just like I said, we are mandated reporters. So always keep that in mind, right? So take a look at some of these responses. Let's look over the responses. And then on the next one, we'll work through it. I don't know if we really needed breadcrumbs for this, but I did it anyways. So I highlighted it. Out of control, mother expresses frustration, stepfather's touching on her, she's getting in trouble, at school she's out of control, she's feeling like she's going to get in trouble if, someone says anything. But the question says, what is the most appropriate action to take first, right? A says, reassure the teen that she is safe and validate her feelings before taking any further steps. Avoid questions that ignore the red flags. That creep is touching on her. Eliminate it. C says, arrange a joint session with the mother and the daughter to explore her fears. I can't just like, how about we call, CPS, and then we can process through her fears, right? Again, this question ignored the red flag that this little girl is being touched on by her disgusting stepfather. So D says, refer the girl to a trauma specialist and begin individual work and process the abuse. So now we're just going to abandon her, right? We found out that she's being touched on by her stepfather, so we're just going to ship her off to somebody else, right? Again, that response ignored the red flags, which was that she's being touched on and it has to be reported. B says report it. Some of the times you'll get responses that'll be like, follow your mandated reporting laws or something like that. But whenever you see anything, sexual abuse, elder abuse, know what that looks like so that when you see it in the vignette, you know that this is a red flag. I can't ignore it. I have to report it. Keep that in mind. Now, these are just a few of my final thoughts, and I will try my best to strive to give these to each and every one of you after every video that I do, because I care about every single one of you, and you passing this exam is much more important than anything. The first thing that I am really big on, decreasing this anxiety. We gotta get rid of this. That's slowing our heart rate down. The overthinking, the second guessing ourselves. We gotta get that under control, right? And the way that we do that is we are going to read for understanding, read for clarity, so that we're not so anxious when it comes to choosing the best answer and spotting the correct response. But when that happens, guess what's going to raise? Your confidence levels are going to go up higher because you know the information. And when you do that, I want you to be able to trust yourself. It says enter yourself, but sorry, excuse me, typo. Trust yourself. Trust your knowledge. You have this. You know this information. You've been studying it long enough. I want these confidence levels through the roof so that when it comes to responding to these vignettes, tell your butts to butt out.